Gotta breathe. Breathing is important. Hello. Hello, everyone. Have you taken a deep breath today? Take a deep breath. You know, no matter what's going on in your life, how crazy or calm things are, it is important to breathe. And I am trying to be a lot more mindful of that. Shout out to RH Max. I just saw him posting, asking for people to come on and talk about mindfulness and meditation. And those are things that I believe we could all use a little bit more of in general in life. Pardon me, I got to grab my coffee. Hold on. Oh, yeah, there we go. There we go. Thanks for the coffee, Mom. I don't know if she's watching it, but I'm hanging out at my mom's house. I am in California now. Very happy to be somewhere for a little bit. It's going to be nice to just not be on the road so much right now. And let me tell you, I have loved every single minute of this PulseChain tour. And I'll talk to you about how Phoenix went in a little bit. And we'll go over just, kind of my feelings on the whole tour in general a little bit. I probably will do another stream on that later. But I am, again, just happy to be home. Austin was my home for the last 15 years, but I did grow up in Southern California. And it's good to just be with family, especially going through what I've just gone through. And, I wanted to talk about, well, let me first, before I go into all the synchronicities, I want to talk about my baby kitty, my sweet little princess. I got Sophia. So I don't know if I've told this story. I may have mentioned it once, but I remember replying to some people on X about it. I was a crazy cat. I was born a crazy cat lady, for sure. I think, and my mom will have to remind me if this is true or not, but I believe my first words were kitty cat. Pretty sure. And at least that's how the story goes. And I remember being about 3 years old, and my grandmother, my dad's mom, brought to me this cat, and I got to name her. And she was this really cute, and I don't remember. I mean, I was so young. I very vaguely remember, any spending much time with this cat or what happened to it, but it I got to name the cat, and it made this little like pitter patter noise as it was walking. And I thought it sounded like someone wearing flip-flops. So I named it Flip Flop. So my first cat was a cute little brown and gray tabby named Flip Flop. And that was it. I mean, kitty cat melted my heart and stayed there in a cat shape in my heart forever. And I mean, it's so silly to me. I look back and I think, around like 10, 11, 12 years old, as you're kind of coming of age or whatever, I remember girlfriends of mine having New Kids on the Block or Jonathan Taylor Thomas posters on their walls. I had kitty cat pictures of cats everywhere. I just loved cats. So, and I remember always wanting, you guys remember Cat Fancy magazine? I don't know if that's still around. But I remember like going through pictures of cats and stuff and being, oh, what's the kitty cat that I want the most, And I always wanted a big, white, fluffy cat. Big, white, fluffy cat. That was like my dream cat with bright blue eyes. So, and that around the, from that moment on, I had cats. Like we had indoor, outdoor cats. We lived in an area that was very not developed at the time. So a lot of those cats, I mean, like my cats weren't fixed, and the cats had kittens, and cats were, I am not joking. I had 100 cats by the time I was 13 or 14. Cats had kittens went everywhere. Kittens had kittens. They just were roaming all over, and not at the same time, obviously, but like, I mean, there were definitely at times there were 7 or 8 cats in my backyard that belonged to me technically. So they came and went, and I had 2 that I kept the longest. One I named Cornflakes because she was a orange tabby, and she reminded me of the color of cornflakes. And then the other one was a black and white cat, and she was Misty. Now, Cornflakes and Misty, I had them the longest. And you tuning in about cat talk, you guys. I love that you're watching this. Thanks for being a part of my life. Um, they disappeared around the time I was 14, and then I had a cat-sized hole in my heart. So I just like waited and didn't really, didn't get a cat. I think my dad didn't really like cats, so we just like didn't get another one for a little while. And then I think it was like my freshman or sophomore year of high school, this little cat walks into the little, place where it was like a trailer where we were having class. Like they had added additional trailers to the building of my high school. Anyways, this cat walks right up to my desk and is like, "Hi, I'm yours." And I said, "Okay." So I took the cat home, and I was allergic. I was allergic to the cat. I was like, "Why am I allergic to cats? I've had cats all my life." So for like 2 years, I didn't. And what I've learned is every 7 years, your allergies change, your body, your makeup composition changes. So you can develop and grow out of allergies. So when I was 14, I developed an allergy to cats, and it was terrible. It was real bad. In fact, it got worse as I got older. And I remember going to someone's house, walking into the house, and they had two long-haired cats, and I had trouble breathing. I was asthmatic. It was really intense. So I was just so bummed. I really just wanted another cat, and I couldn't have one. And I think I had a frog for a pet for a little while. And then I tried to fill the cat-sized hole with a chinchilla for a little while, and that didn't work. And then I did some research, and I found out that there is a breed of cat called the Siberian cat. And they're just like technically the street cats of Russia. But for whatever reason, this particular breed has 90% less of the allergen in their DNA. So people adopt them for, to not be allergic to them. So I was like, well, that's crazy. There's no way. And I, did some more research, looked around, found a breeder, and ended up going to this woman's house. And she was kind of disbanding her cattery, or whatever you want to call it, because her husband was sick. She needed more time to spend with him. And she had a litter, and the cats at that point were like 6 months old. And I almost took Sophia's brother home. I almost got a male cat, but the breeder said, "No, you might want the female. You might want his sister, because the females have even less of that, and they won't mark as much and different things like that." So she convinced me to take the girl. And that was my sweet little baby Princess Sofiya. I want to say that was 2008 was the year that I got her, because I adopted her the same year my niece was born, or like right before my niece was born. So my niece is 16. Sofiya was about 16 and a half. So, and that was, that cat, she's just been so wonderful. I couldn't have asked for more. And the Siberian cats are also known as like the dog kind of cat. So she would play fetch. She loved little like jingle bell things. So I would like throw this little like jingle bell feather thing for way down the hall. She would go get it and just boop, 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 come back with this little thing in her mouth and drop it at my feet. I was like, "You're a dog. You're a dog cat." I have so many great memories of her. I want to put together a little collage, but there's several pictures that I want to put together. That cat went with me. I got her when I was still living in Southern California. Moved from Southern California to Texas, brought her with me, stayed in Texas for a good number of years, moved back to California for about 8 months. She came with me, moved back to Texas for a little bit, for like a month or two, and then moved to Puerto Rico and took her with me. Moved back, and then during the time I lived in Texas, I had a job where I did this traveling gig, and I tested cell phone towers for AT&T. So drove all around doing that. And on my trip, I think back from California the second time to Texas, I was working as I drove, and she was with me the whole time. So she went to Colorado with me. I think we went to Montana together. So just all over the place. This cat, a friend of mine was like, that cat has probably seen more places in this world than many people have. And I think that's true. She has been on the white sands of New Mexico. She has been on the beaches of LA. She has been on the beaches of Puerto Rico. And I just was so grateful that she was such a great traveling companion. She was very like, wouldn't like put a leash on and go walk with me like that. But about a year ago, I brought her this little like baby sling kind of thing, and I buried her in that. I wrapped her in that and buried her. And but she would go with me in my little pouch. We'd walk around, and she loved it. She was just so adventurous and so sweet. I have this little video that I'm gonna post eventually. I've gone through. I spent the last couple days mourning, going through all her pictures. Driving. I drove from Phoenix to my mom's this morning, and I'll get into synchronicities, right about now, y'all. The timing of this really was so bittersweet and synchronistic and beautiful. I'm gonna tell you a little story. So I had I had two incidents where I lost her. So maybe 4 years ago, I was driving with my boyfriend at the time, and we were driving from California to Texas. And we decided to stop for the night. Oh, no. Sorry. This is the other way around. With the boyfriend, had the dog and the cat driving to California. We were in the Sprinter van that I had built. And we stopped in Arizona, in like Chandler, Arizona, and we had spent the night in the van in a hotel parking lot. He opened the door in the morning to let his dog out, take her for a walk, and then came back to the van. We start leaving, and I'm like, we should really top up on our gas, because as we start going into California, it's just going to get more expensive. And I think we had used maybe a quarter tank, and usually I don't do that. I'll drive a little bit further and then get gas. But this time I was like, no, let's stop. We drove 5 minutes, went to the next gas station, filled up, and I could not find Sofiya anywhere. I was like, where's the cat? The cat is not in the bus or the van. Where's the cat? We drove back to that hotel, spent 4 or 5 hours just yelling for her, with her shaking her bag with treats, shaking her food cans. I would open, because she would run to me if I did the little flick on the wet food can, like she knew that sound. And I am like bawling and like walking around like I'm a lost zombie trying to find this cat. My sweet boyfriend at the time was running back and forth, like looking everywhere, like, just trying to see if she went out somewhere. We're asking everybody. The whole hotel knew. The gas station across the corner knew. Everybody had my phone. I'm like, if you see this cat, call me. Here's my number. Help me find my cat. And again, like 4 or 5 hours go by, and I'm just inconsolable, and I don't know what to do. So we decided to drive to the nearest shelter and see if someone had taken her there or something. We drove about 5-10 minutes, and I get a phone call, and the hotel guy is like, hey, your cat just walked in the doors like she owned the place, and we have her now in a room, and she's drinking milk. I was like, what? So it probably, because she's an indoor cat, so she probably got too warm and sought shelter and was like, oh, this looks nice. Just pranced right inside. That cat, man. So that was the first time, and that was in Chandler, Arizona. Okay. Keep that in mind. The second time, I'm driving this bus from Texas to California to start the PulseChain tour. And this was earlier this year, and the super bloom had happened in the deserts. So there's all these beautiful wildflowers everywhere. And me being a photographer was like, I have to go out and like find some of these super blooms and take some pictures. So I take an exit, and I go drive down this exit about a mile maybe. And I do a little U-turn, and I stop, and I get out of the bus. With the door open, I'm facing the bus the entire time, and I'm taking photos of these beautiful bushes that are blooming that have these gorgeous orange flowers, and looking at the bus. Doors open, bus is there. I'm taking pictures. I don't see anything happen except that I'm taking pictures. I get back in the bus. I drive back to the off ramp the ramp that I came from, basically, and drove on this on ramp for like 30 seconds, and then saw another really pretty group of flowers. And I was like, oh, let me stop here. Y'all, I stopped there. I get out. I close the door this time behind me, take some pictures, get back in the bus, and there's no cat. Cat's gone. It's like, where's my cat? Why is my cat gone? what has happened? And she's not the kind of cat, like, she loves being in this bus. Like, I let her out like a couple weeks ago, as we're just, doing stuff and hanging out. And she walked out and looked around and walked right back in. She's not big on outside because she's not been an outside cat. So it's just like, oh, there's no way she left. So I drive frantic. Oh, oh man, you guys. So I flip out and I'm just like, oh my God, my cat, like, she's going to get run over by something. Like, she's going to get eaten by something. I reverse up the on-ramp, and in doing so, I ruined the hitch that I had on the bus at the time, because it was already low and dragging, and it just like was, man, that was bad. Anyways, I do that. I do some crazy illegal U-turn. Luckily, there was a cop right there. I did not get pulled over. Did some crazy U-turn to get back to where I was, and then spend about half an hour running around trying to find her. There was a business across the street, and I give them my number. I was like, my cat's missing. Let me know if you find her. And I'm running back and forth. And at some point, I'm like, all right, let me, like, retrace my steps. I walked back to the bush that I was taking the picture of. And there she was. Just right underneath the bush. She hadn't moved. She was just very small. Just a tiny little thing underneath the bush. And that was in, like, right outside of Phoenix. I can't remember what town that was. In Arizona, again. So that happens. And I'm like, this cat has got to want to die in Arizona. Like, she's, and I had that thought. I was like, man, she must want to reincarnate here, or she's got something going on in Arizona, because both times in nearly the same spot, cat gets lost. Just what are the odds? So we're in Texas. We're doing the PulseChain tour, and things are not going well for her. She started not eating much, and little by little, her appetite just went. Like, she just would not eat. I'd put different foods. I'd try everything. And at this point, because I was very picky with the food that she ate, because she had hyperthyroidism in the past, and she couldn't have salt or eggs or fish, things like that. So lots of raw food and things like that. And it was just disheartening. It was really hard to see her not eat at all, really. And that got more and more intense as the days went on. And I started driving knowing that she wasn't doing, I went to a great vet in Texas. Oh man. The vet there was she was wonderful. And she basically let me know that Sofiya had stage 3 kidney disease, which was something that I knew a little bit, because when she had the hyperthyroidism, they told me, hey, like, we got to take care of this, but she's also got a kidney thing going on, but let's take care of this first. So that happened. Then I find out her kidney disease is getting worse. And, that doctor was like, hey, we can try some shots. We can try giving her sub-Q. There's the whole word. Sub-Q fluids is the short way to say it. And let's try this appetite, we tried those things first. And I thought she was going to just be fine and bounce back, no problem. Let's try these couple things. And she did not. She just, her appetite got less. She was eating less and less. She was moving less and less. Went back to the same vet, got an appetite stimulant, had her do the fluids again. And, was like, okay, well, let's see how this goes. And then by that point, I had to leave. I was like, okay, it's time to go to Phoenix. So I start driving out. And as I'm driving out to Phoenix, I'm giving her the appetite stimulant. And then I took the sub-Q fluids and I started doing it myself. I started administering those to her. Luckily, she didn't freak out too much about it. And I was able to do that with no issues. So she just, it was just getting bad. And at that point, and when I left Texas, the doctor was like, you have to start thinking about euthanasia, because, if she doesn't start eating, if she doesn't eat in the next couple days, you really need to consider that. And there was one day in between all that where she ate a bunch subcutaneous, thank you, Crypto Coffee, subcutaneous fluids. So there was one day where she ate a bunch and I was like, oh, great. She's eating. That's awesome. And that was the last time she ate. She had a bunch of raw food and seemed to love it, and just eating more and more. And I thought, again, like, she's going to turn the corner and things are going to get better. And the hardest part, I think, about the kidney disease is they basically get backed up, right? So they can't have a bowel movement. So she wasn't pooping, so she wasn't eating. And I took her a couple days after that. I took her to a vet in New Mexico because I was there by that time, and had that vet do it. It's TMI, but not really. It's just do an enema, right? And that actually got a couple like little like rocky poops out, because the kidney disease makes it so that the stool is like very hard. It's like rock hard. And I'm sure like not comfortable to pass. So that happened. After that morning, she drank a little bit, and I went on my way to Arizona. And she drank a little bit that morning. And again, I thought that was going to be good. That vet also had, other than, doing that procedure, had also given her another kind of appetite stimulant, like a shot that was supposed to stimulate her appetite. And she drank some fluids that morning. And then that was the last time she, like on her own, did anything really. So I'm trying to think. I can't even think of the timeline. Because yeah, that was hard. It was really hard to watch that. Like the next day, I kept trying to give her fluids. I think I gave her the subcutaneous fluids one more time, and she just wouldn't do anything on her own. And then there was this moment where I think I was trying to give her a little bit of food. Like I brought a little bit of food up to her mouth, and she took her paw and she just went like this. She was like, no. And that was kind of the moment. I mean, like I think I knew when I was leaving Texas that it was about to be that time. So I sobbed. Like there was one night I just lost it out in Texas, just knowing that, she was declining. And that was the moment I was just like, she's done, man. Like she's just ready to go. So from that point on, I just made sure she was as comfortable as possible. I know cats hide it well, but she didn't seem to be in much pain. She was not crying. Every now and then, every few hours, she'd kind of like have this really desperate, very sad meow. And that was heartbreaking hearing that. And yeah, I held there was one night, I was like, if she makes it through the night, I was going to consider calling. There's a company called Lap of Love, and they do the euthanasia process. And they also offer like cremation services and stuff like that. I already knew, and I'll tell you the next synchronistic story in a second. I already knew what I was going to do if she passed with her body. So, I kind of thought, I was like, okay, the next morning. So she made it through the night, and the next morning came, and, I was there with her kind of debating whether or not I was going to do this euthanasia thing. And I was just holding her. And there was one moment where it just looked like she had stopped breathing. I was like, shit, did she go? And then I saw her like take a deep, like struggle breath. Right. And then nothing. And then she did that same thing for a couple minutes. Like it was probably two. I counted in between her breaths, like 9 seconds, 12 seconds, 15 seconds. Like it just kept getting less and less and less. I was like, this is it. Like this is actually happening right now. So I was holding her, and I told her, thank you for being my kitty. I said, we went on so many adventures together, and this is just your next adventure, and it's like, you can go. It's like, it's okay. It's like, I know you're going to be there with me. And then she went. And it was tough. And there I was in Arizona, and I just knew it. I just had this feeling. I was like, she's not going to make it to California. So she passed in Arizona like she wanted to. And I think, people say that Arizona is a very magical, special place in terms of ley lines and vortexes and things like that. And I thought it was funny, people say, oh, that your pet passed over the Rainbow Bridge. And I was like, you know what? I think she actually, instead of going over the Rainbow Bridge, I think she transported herself into some kind of magical vortex. So who knows where she is or how she's going to come back or any of that. So the second synchronistic story was that years and years ago, I had a black cat. I had Sophia, and then I had adopted a black Siberian cat because I thought Sophia might want company. I was like, maybe she'll get along with this cat. She'll have a sister. It'll be great. It was not. So Susu, named after Susu Watari, which if you know any of Miyazaki's films. There's a little black dust mites with the big eyes. That's what this cat looked like. So I named her Susu Watari, and she was a chunk, man. So Sophia was always small, always just like no more than 5 pounds maximum in her life. Maybe at some point 6 pounds, maybe. But she was just a ball of fluff. Underneath that fluff, just a little skeleton baby cat. So that was hard too, is seeing her lose a pound, right? She was 4 pounds, I think, probably a little bit less when she passed, but she was just like all skin and fluff. So Susu was her little friend, and I around that time wanted to get another tattoo, and I ended up getting, it's hard to see because I started getting it removed. That's another story for another day, but this is a black cat standing on dice. So you can kind of see it. Anyways, but my idea at the time was to get cuffs. And I'm like, long story with the removal, but I'm going to get cuffs. So from here all the way around, and then from here all the way around. And when I got this one, I was like, well, this is Susu, right? Because it's a black cat. So I'm going to get Sophia over here. And I thought, it would be cute because this is kind of like that old, like Sailor Jerry tattoo. Is that even the right? I don't know if that's the right thing I'm thinking of, but you know what I mean, like the old sailor tattoo kind of style. So I had that for Susu because she was just a badass little pirate motherfucker, and Sophia was just like cute little kawaii baby girl, right? So I wanted to get a picture, like a tattoo of her in a little circle, like curled up in a little ball, and then I wanted cherry blossom flowers, right? Like sakura, like super cute kawaii cherry blossoms, just that kind of like cute anime Japanese style. For whatever reason, like that was just in my head. I wanted that to be what the style was for her. Well, as I was, going on this journey with her and thinking about, what I would do, with when she passes, and being close enough to California, I was like, well, if I can, I'd like to bury her in my mom's backyard. Then that way I always have a place to visit, and she's, it's somewhere physical. I didn't want to cremate her or anything like that. That didn't really feel right to me. So I decided to plant her. I decided to bury her. It's kind of similar. I decided to bury her in my mom's backyard. And a couple days after I made that decision, I kept thinking about where in the backyard I would do it. And I thought, you know what? I should plant her. Or I keep saying plant her. I just planted her. I should bury her underneath the cherry tree that I planted. That's why I keep wanting to say plant. I planted this cherry tree in my mom's backyard like 5 years ago. And if you know anything about fruit trees, a lot of times they take years to fruit and to blossom. So this cherry tree, I think, has given her maybe 1 or 2 cherries so far, but it's coming up this next spring. It should flower. And not until like the next morning did I think, oh, wow, how perfect is that? I'm burying her under a cherry tree. And I've wanted to get this tattoo with cherry blossoms like forever. So my plan now is to wait until this cherry tree blossoms, then wait until it flowers, take pictures of those cherry blossoms, and then actually get those cherry blossoms on my wrist around her. So that's it. That's Cat. That's my sweet little baby kitty. Oh, and one last thing that was super cool and synchronistic. As I was digging her grave last night, I'm digging, and it's very rocky soil where she's buried. And as I'm digging, I find this heart-shaped rock. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet. I was like, I'm gonna use that to mark her grave. So I posted some pictures. You guys can see the little grave site. It's got this heart-shaped rock in the middle. And then the other thing that was kind of trippy was, as I was burying her, I buried her with the little, one of those long plastic things that's got like the feather on the end of it. So I buried her with one of those, and I had it sticking straight up, so it would kind of also be a marker. And as I was putting the dirt in the hole, the line was tugging, and I was like, oh, it's like she's playing with me one more time. Oh, thanks for coming to my sob story show. That's the wrap. That's the wrap on the cat. Oh man, I just, I've cried a lot, so I'm all right now, and I know it'll come and go for sure. But But what a life that cat lived. You know, she was just everything. She was so much to me and so much to so many other people. I've had friends reach out, you know, some people I haven't heard from in months or years that were just like, hey, you know, I saw the thing about Sofiya, you know, sorry for your loss. And, you know, I loved her too. And, you know, everyone loved that cat. And everywhere I went, people were like, oh, wow, what a beautiful cat. And her parents were show cats. And when I bought her, I had to sign this like waiver saying that I wouldn't show her. So I got her for a discounted price because I was like, well, I won't, you know, I can't make money on her image and I can't show her as a show cat, which I never intended to anyways. But that's the story of Princess Sofiya Bailey MacIntyre. Y'all, I appreciate you. Let's see what is next on my agenda. What else did I want to talk about? Definitely going to talk about Phoenix. Let's talk about SciViving, because after all that, you know, after all this traveling and going through something really emotional and giving myself grace, right? I think that that's important, that we have moments of rest so that we can be peaceful, so that we can get the hard things done. And then, you know, remember also to be disciplined after that. But I kind of the last couple of weeks have been, you know, in treat yourself mode, right? Because when you're caring for someone else, it's hard to remember to care for yourself. So diet's been a little wonky, haven't been to the gym in weeks. And, you know, just really spent a lot of my time focusing on her and giving her the best quality of life that I could have for the last few weeks, right? And that I just want to like kind of last thing on that point was I'm really glad she didn't suffer. Like, this happened so quick. It was not drawn out over months or years or any, like, I didn't have to have any kind of crazy outstanding medical bills or any of that, you know, like she just knew. She knew it was time. And then another, you know, lastly, I don't remember who I was talking to. Oh, my sweet friend Linda in Phoenix. We had this conversation. She's like, I know this sounds weird, but it was kind of, you know, like in terms of the timing, like it could not have worked out better for me in general, because not only did it work out timing wise for me to bring her here and bury her here, but I'm going to be traveling so much next year. And that includes going overseas and going other places. And, you know, had I had her, I probably would have needed to have someone watch her. And who knows, you know, if things had happened during me being away, you know, like I couldn't have been there, or I was, you know, overseas or something. So again, just another synchronicity with that beautiful, beautiful cat. Oh, where was I? Oh yeah, doing the hard thing. So again, just really have been chill mode, taking care of her, not taking care of myself, you know, taking care of myself, but in not the healthiest way sometimes, right? And that's fine, right? We need to be able to allow ourselves that flexibility. However, today I said, you know what? Today's a new day. I did the hardest thing, you know, getting her buried and, you know, saying goodbye. And now it's time to get back on track and take care of myself. So this morning I decided to start a new routine, and I had kind of like touched base on this a few days ago when I was in Marfa, Texas. Took a partially cold shower. And this morning I said, okay, I woke up and I thought, all right, I got to do the hard thing first. I have to do the hard thing. Go do the hard thing. So I got up in my bus here, I got my shower, and I didn't turn my heater on. I have a heater for the water. I left it off. I got in that shower and it was cold. It was so cold. So I took a cold shower and it was great. Afterwards, I mean, it was terrible. But afterwards, I felt fantastic and I felt invigorated. I'd had a headache, like from the heat a little bit. And so that helped with my headache. And then after I took my cold shower, I got dressed and I put my yoga mat up on top of the bus and I sat in the morning sun. This is like about 7 a.m. The sun rose at 6:30, but it didn't get high enough to touch the top of my bus until about 7. So sat up there at 7 a.m. and just sat for about a half an hour on the top of my bus, letting the sunlight, the morning sunlight soak in. That is one of the best things you can do for your mind, especially, and your body. Doing that is going to help reset your circadian rhythm. If you have a hard time falling asleep, if you feel like you're tired and exhausted throughout the day, try getting some morning sunlight in your eyes and on your body. It's really important to make sure that you're like it's the morning light, right? And I think the evening light too. So if you've heard of red light therapy, that exists because that's the kind of light that you're getting at those hours, is this red light, right? Whatever those frequencies of light are, that is what is replicated in red light therapy. That's why people use it and do it. Great for your skin, great for your brain, great for your body. So those are two habits. And then the third habit that I want to do that I did not yet, but I'm going to once no excuses. I should have done it today. I'll try and do it a little bit later, maybe as the sun is setting or later in the afternoon. Grounding. So making sure that I'm doing a cold shower, getting up there, and I did a little bit of breathing exercises. I think that's important too. And then getting that sunlight on my skin and getting the earth, my feet on the bare earth. If y'all can put those things into practice and do those on a daily basis, I promise you, your life will be much better. Mentally, physically, emotionally, you will see a change. You will feel a difference. And I've heard multiple health practitioners and people over time talk about those things. And a lot of that is going to help you sleep if you have trouble sleeping. It's going to help you stay alert and awake during the day if you need to. So there's my SciVive tips for the day. Definitely check that out. Let's see. So the pulse chain. Oopsie. You don't do that there. All right. So the PulseChain tour in Phoenix was amazing. We had such a good time. There were more people, always more people show up than expected, and I love that. Let's see. Those tacos, y'all. Those tacos were amazing. They were, shout out to RG3 for driving out to Phoenix and being a chef. Man, he's got some magic in that cooking, because I'm not a big fan of chicken, and he did his own marinade for the chicken, and it was juicy and delicious and wonderful. He made his own salsa, y'all. And then what else? Oh, he made these chili peppers. They're like yellow chili peppers, and he used an air fryer, and just everything was so delicious. It was so good. And it was a fun time. I was worried because this was all me. So if y'all if y'all don't know, Black Hexagon, she's the queen and does all the things right all the time. So she gets our venues, she books, the dinners, she books the hotels and flights, and she takes care of everything logistically. And she does an amazing job. She is the boss babe when it comes to all that. Shout out to you, Black Hexagon. Love you so much. Because this was like my thing. And oh man, let me tell you. First of all, so it turned out great, of course, but like as the time is coming up, right? Like RG and I get to the spot, and thankfully, shout out to Jason and Linda, y'all, and Jonathan. The three of you all helped so much to get everything done, get everything set up. Y'all, like, I could not have done it without you. Seriously, really, we couldn't have, because if we didn't have your kitchen, I thought there was more of a kitchen in the space we were in, and there was not. So RG needed that kitchen to cook and all of your utensils and everything. Like, you guys seriously helped me make this happen. Well, as we're prepping and getting things ready for the event, I start to realize that this event is the event was at an apartment complex at their common area. And I start to realize parking is a nightmare. No one's going to know where to go. And you have to have a key fob to get in to all these spaces. So I was just like, man, I really should have sent out some kind of email to the entire group of people who were showing up here to let them know where to park, how to find us, how to get in. So at the very beginning, it was a logistical nightmare. And again, I just cannot thank Black Hexagon enough for what she does because man, like, it's just you don't think of these things. And then having like needing to have like the stuff for serving the food and putting the food in containers and making sure all the food had everything it needed. And you guys, it was so silly. I learned a lot. And now I have lots of extra things for the next time we do this. Cups and plates and forks and knives and all sorts of things. It wasn't too bad. We didn't have to do too much like last minute running around. Luckily, we thought about most of it before, like the day of or the day before, and got everything taken care of. And then another thing I was worried about was, what's everyone going to do? There was a pool table there was a little shuffleboard table, and then that was kind of it. And it's just big open meeting space, couches and chairs, and a little outside lounge area that kind of overlooked their pool. And there was like a little bar kitchen thing that had a couple refrigerators, ice machines that didn't work, sinks and stuff like that. And I was so busy taking care of everything and running around making sure everyone had everything they needed that I didn't even really have time to plan anything to do during the event. But you know what? It was perfect. It was perfect. Everyone just got to hang out and talk to one another and meet one another and socialize and get to know each other. And it was just wonderful. I loved that everyone just had such a good time. I got complimented, RG and I both, got compliments on, thank you so much for this. I had a wonderful time. It was so great to just hang out and meet people and just, that was it. We just had a chill meetup. And the thing that I hear the most often is how important it is that we spend time together in person. Because you're all over there on behind my screen, right? And we can't, there's no, you can, I mean, you can look into my eyes, but I don't see yours. I'm staring at this camera, and it's a little less of a connection, right? Meeting and shaking hands and giving hugs and eating together, sharing meals together, sharing great conversations while you can look in the other person's eye. It is so important for community. And I can't, I'm so thankful that this community exists, especially over these last couple days, y'all. I love you guys so much. Thank you for everything that you have said, all of your outreach, all of the words of sympathy. I don't know what I'd do without y'all, really. I mean, it has been the most uplifting, heartwarming couple of days I've had, and I don't feel alone, right? And that's a huge thing for me because I've been alone with, with Sofiya. Like I've been with her if I'm not with a friend or, family member or something or hanging out with a Hexagon or whatever, she's been by my side. And now she's not, not physically anyways. And so to just know that I have y'all's support and y'all's attention and, you guys all are all behind me and next to me and around me. That is such a great gift. And I'm so thankful to be a part of this community. And I'm so thankful to be able to be someone who is championing that mindset and that mentality and that we're moving from this bear market into a bull market, right? So that's the last thing I wanted to talk about was bringing conscious connection and mindset from the bear market to the bull market. And that is going to be so important because okay, so I've never seen a whole cycle. This is my first bear market and it's been wretched. I can't compare it to anything because I've never been through anything else, but I mean, this has been a long time. It's been a long, long time. And it's been really hard to, when I got in and the bull, it was running, right? Hex was running up to 50 cents. I didn't have any prior knowledge, or I had nothing to compare any of that to. And I was so new to the space that I didn't really know or see or understand what was happening. I just heard everyone talking about this festival that they're going to have and the land they're going to buy and the Lambo and the this and the that and the Rolexes and like, you know, everyone just like freaking out on like all their gains. And I knew I wasn't looking for short term. I knew that what I was doing at the time was DCAing in, and I didn't know it was DCA at the time, but I bought a little bit. I think 5 cents was my first buy, 14 cents, and then like 20 something cents was my biggest buys as I was going up, my biggest, you know, going in. And then I've got to DCA down, and I know that now, but just seeing the excitement, right? The euphoria, right? Of people who had bought before me and had then had massive gains, right? And took profit. So I haven't had that experience yet, except for that one time we ran up to 12 cents before PulseChain launched. That was the first and only moment so far that I've had that green candle, like, oh, that's what that means. That's what that feeling is. That's seeing your portfolio jump, right? So as we've gone through this bear market and have held one another up, have encouraged one another, have built things, right? Have built up our community, we need to keep in mind that that's going to be just as important as the bull run is coming, because people are going to lose their shit, right? Sudden wealth syndrome is real. I haven't experienced it. I haven't personally seen it because I hadn't been around in the community at that time, but I know that it exists. And I know that there are a lot of people who are likely to become, what is it? I think rich and then wealthy, right? The first cycle's rich and then you get wealthy. So people are going to get rich and they're going to get super stoked on it. And if they haven't made the commitment to being mentally sound and stable and having a mindful way of going about that richness coming in, it's not going to be pretty. You are more of what you are when you have those funds, right? People, and yes, there's peace of mind and there are other things that come with that. But for the most part, you're not going to change. You're still going to be you. So if you're a total degen and you just like to gamble, say bye-bye to your riches, because just having that money isn't going to make you want to save it and put it in, other investments and do other things with it. You're probably just going to degen it all away. So remember that what you're building now and what's happening now is just going to be exponentially more as this bull run comes and as we see this richness come into our life. So I want to be, as much as I can, I want to be able to be an example and to be someone who's like, okay, hey, like, here we are, here's these green candles. Let's take profit little by little, right? You got a DCA in, you got a DCA out. And you have to be mindful of where that money's going. This great strategy that was given to me by EcoBuilder is that what I plan to do is that when we do a certain number X in different categories, right? Like let's say it's a 5X and then it's a 15X and then it's a 50X, something like that, right? So that 5X, every time we X a certain number for me, and it'll be kind of different every time, I'm going to take 20% profit. Just take 20%. And if I can, I know that, I'm staked. So I'm fortunate that some of my stakes, I have a good chunk of stakes that I planned out over the next couple of years. So I'm going to have a good number of them. I need to sit down and like look at my portfolio and figure out exactly what those dates are and like put it in a calendar or something. But those are going to come out over the next couple of years. And for the most part, what I plan to do is take just 20% of it, keep 10% of that as dry powder so that I can buy the dip, so that I can take profit and get that bottom next time that it comes. The other 10%, my living cost, whatever it is that I need to do. And it shouldn't be some crazy exponential, oh, you guys, oh, this is going to be hard. I just looked over and I thought I saw my cat. Okay, I'm back. I'm here. Okay. So I'm going to take that other 10% and put it to work for me, use it for something. And make sure that I'm being wise, because that's how I got here in the first place. When I sold my home, I didn't know HEX existed, and I was on my own path to finding financial freedom. For the first time in my life, I started to take my own financial existence into my hands, and in a different way. Trust me, I've always been very independent. I've always been someone who has saved and, really been smart with my finances. I've always been very smart with money. I don't know where I got that from, because my my family is not, for the most part. Um but somehow that got instilled in me, that saving is good. Don't spend more than you have, right? So I was already on a good path, but then I thought, I started to learn that I wanted to be financially free. I was like, that money is out there. I started reading books like Think and Grow Rich. I read You Are a Badass at Making Money. I read several other books right along those lines. And they SciVive. Well, no, that was before. Sorry, this is before SciVive. But I knew that the money I was going to get from my home was going to go to paying off my debt. And in hindsight, student loan debt. In hindsight, I might not have done that play, right? Like I might have put that into HEX, but I didn't know at the time. And I felt I hated the burden. I hated the burden of debt, right? Even though it's good debt, people call student loan debt good debt. I just couldn't. I mean, I had been out of college for 10 years by that point, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I don't want to be carrying this debt through my life, on and on and on. And so I knew that I was looking for something to make me I wanted to put my money to work. I wanted to be financially free as soon as possible. And I started taking steps to do that in terms of my work. I was more free from that rat race. I had already gotten to that point, right? And then after that, I was like, okay, now I want to be more financially free. So, and I told this story a few times, but looked into a 401k, looked into a high yield savings account, looked into options trading. And luckily, my sweet friend Crypto Kool-Aid came along and said, hey, remember all those little coins I told you to diversify in? Because I had bought a little bit of Bitcoin in 2017, tiny little bit. And then Kool-Aid had told me, or had found out that I bought that. And I didn't know, like, I only knew him through dancing and going downtown for drum and bass nights. So I had no idea he was an ICO influencer during that time. He just was like a friend of mine that, we go dancing and he happens to know about Bitcoin. So he told me to diversify. So I did. And then fast forward, and I didn't look, and I did that, and then I didn't look at it for years. I didn't touch it. I didn't know even how to access it. Like bye-bye. I just didn't even think about it. So I probably made a bunch and then lost it all. But he was like, hey, remember all those little coins that I told you to put, these things in? Take all of that and put it into HEX. Little did he know at the time, he didn't even know that I had sold my house. So not only did I do that, I took a good chunk of what I had, after paying off my student loan debt, I had some credit card debt at the time, and then, put a chunk away in savings. And then I had these different pockets. I had some put away for a 401k. I had some put away for a high yield savings account, and I had some put away for options trading. And I had a little bit that I was going to put into crypto. Well, I put that little bit into crypto. So that was my first buy, and into HEX. And as I learned over the next 6 months, and this was the cool thing, is that of the influencers or the content creators that Kool-Aid told me about, I immediately had a fondness for Whales Only One, because I had taken that options trading course. And so he was speaking my language, and I was like, oh, this makes sense, because I just learned about all these stocks and how all that works. So he's making it make sense to me. Well, as I continued to listen and I continued to learn, and I started to understand a T-share, that money from the 401k, the money from the high yield savings account, the money that I tucked away for options trading. Luckily, that Kool-Aid got to me about 80% of the way through that options trading class. Man, I would have been wrecked. I would have gotten so wrecked trying to trade options. What a ridiculous thing to even try to think about doing. So I'm so glad that he came to me at that point and was like, hey, there's this thing going on, right? So shout out again to Crypto Kool-Aid. I'm forever thankful to have him as my friend, and Chris Side Effects, because he walked me through and held my hand to actually get the thing done and purchase the HEX. So all that to say, What a journey. And, and that's where I'm at, right? Is that's where I came in, and I've been through this bear market, and I'm so looking forward to seeing what is going to happen in the next year and a half, 2 years. 2024, 2025, I think are going to be amazing. Keep your eyes peeled and your ears open, because PulseChain Tour 2024 is in the works, ladies and gentlemen. Again, shout out to Black Hexagon. She has already got things planned, and she's working on our website, our new website as well. So, I mean, she is a powerhouse of magic and wonderment. So we're going to be doing a lot of really good things in this next coming year. And I cannot wait, you guys. I'm super stoked. And again, so grateful, so happy to be a part of this family and be a part of this community. Y'all, we really need to just keep in mind that we're all in this together. We are true DeFi. Like, that is happening here. And we are so early. We are so early. People don't know. People don't even know what crypto is. They don't understand it yet. So for us to be moving forward and telling people, hey, there's something better than Bitcoin out there. Let me tell you about it, right? That's what we're going to be doing this next year. And I strongly believe, like many of you out there, that we are going to see virality happen. We're going to see this go viral. It might not be in the next year or two, but it will. But it will. And I think in the crypto space, this next couple years, I think we're gonna go viral there. And then it'll take time. But as it gets out there, as more people buy in, as more influencers understand what the heck this really is, or better scenario, as our influencers, our crypto or content creators become more popular. I strongly believe that's what's going to happen. People like DCC, Crypto Coffee, RG3, Fashion Coder, people like that, and all the other content creators out there are going to become more well-known and have more of a following. And we have other people coming into the space. Whitney Magic, y'all tune in tonight, chatting with the captain. Whitney Magic is going to be on with RG3. I'm really looking forward to that. I got to spend some time with that woman in Austin, and my heart. She is a badass. She is a manifester. She is magic for sure. And she is doing things outside of our space and bringing people in to our ecosystem. So shout out to Whitney Magic. Loved hanging out with you, girl. For that to happen again. Keep doing what y'all are doing. And if you are interested in content creation, hit me up. Come on, effing hang out with RG3. There are a lot of other creators out there that want to see you succeed, right? We're not the kind of person that's going to be like, oh, no, there's too much of us. Oh, no, we're already doing that. No, you can do it with your own flavor, and you're going to bring people that I certainly wouldn't bring in. You know what I mean? Like, I have a totally different style. I tell people, even when I give them my card, I'm like, hey, here's this information. But if you really want to know more about crypto, email me and I will send you the content creators of who to look at and who to really go to, because I'm not it, right? I'm not the one that's going to teach you how to buy HEX or stake HEX or buy I mean, like, yeah, sure, I know how to do it, right? I'm taking Crypto Coffee's course right now, you guys. It's fantastic. Y'all should do the same if you need a refresher, because sometimes I do. But all that to say, the more the merrier. And we need all the ships, right? The whole armada needs to come together to get this thing going. So I think I'm going to say hi to the chat real quick. I ignored you all the whole stream, but I just want to say what's up to everyone who came in to say hello. So DJ Bomber, hello, friend. Good to see you. I am going to get to all that eventually. I'm very excited and looking forward to working with you. Anna, hello, sweetheart. Thank you so much for tuning in. The Pothead, thumbs up and hearts. Thank you so much. Crypto Coffee says that makes sense for your first words. It does, doesn't it? I'm gonna have to ask my mom the story, but I'm almost certain that those were my first words. Georgia Carrera, hola, amiga, mira, I'm in California. Let's hang out. Let's hang out soon. I miss you. Drix says kitty smiles. Urban Productions says her cattery. I'll start using that. That's a thing. That's a thing. A cattery. That's when you're like a cat breeder, right? Georgia says, sending love to Princess Sofiya. Thank you so much. Mr. Chuck says, you are the Taylor Swift of our ecosystem with all the touring, singing, and cat obsessions. Is Taylor Swift a cat fan? I didn't know that. I was not aware of that, but thank you. I will take that compliment. The pothead says, synchronicities is universe's language, I think. I totally agree. And it's been beautiful. Lazy Hexagon says, I think cats go to heaven. I don't believe in heaven or hell. But I like that. I like that idea. Emmett's got kitty cat smiles all day long. Blissed Out says, I can't imagine a world without cats. Tiger, who left 2 months ago, literally saved my life 5 years back. Man, I feel that. I really do. There are moments on this tour, especially this last year. Being with her this last year really was just galvanizing for my relationship with her, because I had some really down, like really hard moments. And I know that cats know. You know, people say, you know, oh, dogs know when you're sad. Cats know when you're sad too. I will always remember this moment. I was going through a breakup and I was living in Texas and I was sobbing on my bed. And my sweet little kitty cat, I was like this. I was just laying there sobbing. My sweet little cat jumped up on the bed, jumped up on my chest, and just was like, here I am, hold me, you know. And I had some moments like that this last year, and she always knew. She always knew when I needed her near my heart or on my lap while I was driving. So absolutely. Let's see. Do. She loved you too. You know it. You know it. Georgia says, we love you and Sofiya. Thanks for sharing your beautiful journey. And I'm sure if she comes back, you will meet again and you will know. I agree wholeheartedly. I'm going to wait for sure. I mean, especially with this next year, I'm going to be moving and traveling a lot. So no kitty for me yet. But I am definitely going to get another one someday. Robert online gives hugs. Thank you so much, Robert, for showing up. Appreciate you, friend. Looking forward to seeing you next year on the tour. I'm sure you'll come to a few of those. And I think we might be doing some kind of like NFT thing. So if you plan on going to several events for the PulseChain tour next year, there might be some kind of fun NFT project gaming thing involved. We'll see. I'm trying to work that out. Mo Funk Hearts, thank you so much. Hey, Funding Jim, good to see you. Funding Jim says, you have been an inspiration to many. It is great to see your leadership and compassion growth over the years. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I am glad that I bring something to this ecosystem. You know, there are times when I feel like it's just kind of silly what I do, you know, because I'm not someone who's going to educate very, very gracefully or very well. It's not my bag. That's not what I do. Right. So I'm going to take you to the people who are going to educate you in crypto, in HEX, in our ecosystem. But you know, like I said, like I was saying before, we need all of us, and it's really lovely to feel loved and welcomed and appreciated. So thank you very much, Funding Jim. Hex Monkey, hey man, it was so good to see you in Phoenix. Thank you so much for making the trip, man. You made a journey out there, and I hope you enjoyed all those tacos. People took leftovers home. That what a meal. What a meal. Good to see you. Crypto Coffee says, preach. That's what I do. That's what I do. Godfather J6 sending hearts. Thank you, Godfather J6. Appreciate you. Lazy Hexagon said, I lost my cat of 17 years in 2015. You remind me of the feelings I had back then. His name was Jimi Hendrix. That is precious. That is precious. Operation Shutdown says, we are true. We are true DeFi. We are true DeFi. Hex is better than Bitcoin. I'm gonna be a little copycat and say these things. Just be a little echo chamber of that, or not an echoing voice. Hex is better than Bitcoin. All right. Godfather J6 says, take care, y'all. Hex Monkey. Coffee's course is really great. I recommend directing newbies to it. 100%. There is a link in the description below that you can go to find that course. Please do it. Do so. And Orion sending hearts. Super cool, everyone. I, again, am so grateful. Thank you for coming. Thank you to everyone on the replay who watched this. And I'm just so glad. Thanksgiving's coming up this week, and I am thankful for y'all, because I really feel like I'd be a big hot mess without you guys. So take care. Enjoy your week. Enjoy times with your family, friends. If you're celebrating Turkey Day, get some turkey in your face. You know, and then, yeah, have a great time. I probably will be offline for a little bit while I take care of myself here. I'm not renovating the bus, but I'm clearing everything out. I'm doing a big, deep cleaning getting ready for some new energy in here. And I'm going to, like, you know, hex it up a little bit more, make it a little more hexier, as I'll be here living in the bus with my mom. So hope you all enjoy your time this coming week. And always, thank you so much. I love you guys. Bye. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, gotta press the button twice.